Alright guys, Frank Valkyria, welcome to the channel. Today, special day because we're reacting to this video, what's hidden behind 2,124,000 square miles of unexplored Amazon forest. I linked the original video in the description or in the comment pinned so you can go there. Let's react to this for the audience around the world and also my Brazilian audience. Yes.
Touch the unknown. You don't need to descend to the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
By the way, very deep, around 11 kilometers deep. Okay, very, very deep trench.
Or climb inside the Pharaoh's tomb.
Very, very high stone building.
Believe me, all of this pales in comparison to the Amazon rainforest. This huge area is in full view of the whole world.
Huge! Huge!
But parts of it still remain unexplored. I tried to find out what was hidden under the dense foliage. I was quite surprised. Now, let's take it all in, one step at a time.
Let's go, my man.
Let's start with the river. A little geography so you know what you're dealing with. The Amazon River is the largest river in the world. Most of its basin is covered by rainforest, approximately 5,500,000 square kilometers. That's 2,124,000 square miles. That's more than the area of Spain, France, and Germany combined. It would simply be impossible to fully...
Oh, that's insane. That's insane how large of an area that is. It's insane.
Explore such a huge area. You can't see much from above because the forest is too dense. Wading through it on the ground is excruciatingly difficult. And it's there, deep in the rainforest, where many secrets are hidden. It's not so easy to uncover them, and sometimes it's almost impossible. Forget about the Egyptian pyramids. Here, the secrets have living witnesses. These are tribes cut off from all modern civilization. Tribes that we know almost nothing about. It's not so easy to believe. At first, I wasn't sure either. The territory of the Vale du Javari is considered the least studied. Although its area is larger than the size of Austria, it's home to 3,000
That's nuts. Like that little part that seems little, it's like Austria. It's like bigger, I mean, it's really, I've seen some articles and also some footage in the past of those indigenous population living there. And I'm like, first of all, it's surprising that actually there are still people living that way, and would be incredibly interesting to see how they survive, you know? Of course, being a rainforest, there must be fruit, a lot of fruit and probably hunting. But the area is so large that I can already envision probably where we're gonna get here in the video, that so much stuff it's hidden under the vegetation, which probably has been growing there for thousands of years. So like the same thing happened in other area. I don't remember if it was Mexico, Central America, where they discovered this pyramid by checking Google Maps or whatever, and just seeing that, you know, basically the grass and the roots and everything and the trees grew over it, but from studying the landscape they could still see that something was underneath. So I suppose such a thing probably it's more common around those areas, you know?
Indigenous peoples of Brazil. Most of them are connected to the outside world, but there are also uncontacted peoples. They have no connection with modern civilization. They evolve on their own. How? No one has enough information about them. Now there are very few such groups left, and many of them live in the rainforests of the Amazon. Up to 2,000 people are permanently located on the territory of the Vale du Javari. They belong to at least 14 such tribes. People from the outside world almost never come to their settlements, but it's not out of fear of the locals, even if they are hostile. The tribes are officially protected by the Brazilian authorities, so the outside world doesn't harm these hermits. It turns out that exposure to modern humanity has enough disadvantages. And not just because we can teach them bad lessons. Diseases. People who have lived in isolation for centuries are not immune to the diseases we know. Even common measles or rubella could lead to an epidemic. It turns out that interaction with the outside world is a direct threat to their lives. But scientists still dream of gaining access to uncontacted peoples and studying their culture. What if these people know what's hidden in the depths of the rainforest? Don't think I'm exaggerating. There are really too many mysteries of the Amazon to count. They say there are even traces of an ancient civilization here, a civilization that scientists never learned about. These aren't myths, only real facts, and they send chills up your spine. In 2018, archaeologists managed to discover a unique site in the southwestern part of the Amazon. 81 ancient settlements, including canals, ditches, and other structures. An entire city, or perhaps even a small state. For hundreds of years, it was all hidden in the depths of the Amazon.
You see, can you imagine? Like, I didn't know this actually. This is new to me. So it's pretty remarkable. I would love if they showed in this video already something, if some pictures are available of those areas. I mean, there is so much history, probably also under the snow, under the ice, which of course many thousands of years ago the weather was different. So yeah, not only under the trees and roots.
And no one, including the local residents, even suspected such a treasure. Scientists believe that the settlement existed between 1250 and 1500 AD. They're almost certain that they've stumbled upon the remains of an ancient civilization. There could have been about 1 million people living here, and thus far, we still don't know anything about it. I'm not talking about a few individual structures standing in the forest. Archaeologists have found several hundred structures that look like man-made objects. And they're all connected. Most likely, the inhabitants of this place were actively engaged in agriculture and knew a lot about beautiful ceramics. But this is just a grain of information laying on the surface. What will we uncover as we learn more? This sensation has changed our idea of civilization in the tropical regions. Perhaps many parts of North and South America that we consider to be untouched forests are hiding abandoned fields and gardens. This is what archaeologist Christopher Fisher from Colorado State University thinks. According to him, this ancient civilization understood much more about land use than we do. But this 2018 find isn't the only one of its kind. Studying an area where trees used to grow, scientists discovered numerous geoglyphs, drawings made on the ground.
But you gotta tell me where those geoglyphs are, eh? We want to know, because we have the Aztec and all those other geoglyphs around the world, but this is also new to me. And also, I mean, one fact that has always caused to scratch my head, it's always the fact that if you listen to scientists and more or less is accepted that Homo sapiens exist in between 215 years, 300,000 years, some speculate perhaps even more, but anyway, more or less that's the range. And that's a huge range, of course. That's a long time, considering more or less it's agreed that societies organized in a larger manner, they don't date back that much. You know, we can go all the way back to probably 8,000 years, the Sumerian, the Babylonians, and that's very little fraction when you consider that we are supposed to be more or less like this, with our abilities, with our brain capacity and all that comes with it, for at least 290,000 years. You know what I mean? Like, what did humanity do for 290,000 years before getting into Babylonian time? You know what I mean? That's a long time to believe that we were just like cavemans or something, you know? So That's something that puzzles me very much, because if you ask yourself, the power of observation of a human brain, the way it was 300,000 years ago, it's more or less the way it is today. And of course, I'm speculating in that, but it's accepted that Homo sapiens sapiens was the same. So then you think, like, which one were the causes that kind of steered, like the human perception, the human brain, to find certain discoveries and to do 1+1, together, and finding out about other things. It took so much time, to get to where we are. So sometimes you wonder if it's possible, like some people say, including Graham and Hancock, this historian, journalist, that perhaps there is, we have had some level of advanced societies before, more often, and then perhaps they were wiped out, and some things kind of passed on and kickstart the next generation, of society, so to speak. And discoveries like this could definitely put a nail on the coffin of this argument, like revealing that such a thing could be true.
150 geoglyphs have been found in the northern parts of Brazil and Bolivia. These are ditches or embankments in the form of huge geometric shapes. The oldest of these geoglyphs were created between 3,000 and 3,500 years ago. Their purpose is unknown to scientists. Perhaps the geoglyphs were a meeting place for performing rituals or to discuss important issues. We don't know anything about the ancient inhabitants of the Amazon. Even our wildest assumptions could be true. Maybe they were an observatory or even a place for communication with extraterrestrial civilizations. When it comes to hiding secret knowledge, any means will suffice. And when dense forests no longer do the job, then help can come from fire. There are fires in the Amazon forests all the time. Most recently, they started in August 2019, and they occurred in hard-to-reach areas. In total, more than 70,000 flare-ups were recorded. Every year, the area of the fires increases, but the official reason remains the same. Allegedly, people illegally set fire to the forest so they can cut it down, all for the sake of agriculture. But here I'm talking about regions that are difficult to cut down.
Man, that's criminal, man. I mean, natural fires do occur, and sometimes they clean up the fields, and it's also beneficial. But at the same time, man-made fires, it's such a stupid thing, man. I mean, we're going down in history as like the dumbest society ever for misuses of resources, in the name of just billionaires and power.
Who and what is the forest in the way of? Very, very suspicious. Now, let's remember that the Amazon is home to a huge amount of everything. At least 40,000 species of plants, more than 2,000 species of fish, 1,294 species of birds, 427 species of mammals. But why exactly here and not somewhere else? One of the theories claims that where this forest is currently located, there used to be a sea. A study published in Science Advances claims...
Really? Was that low? Is it mostly flat? Really?
Claims that the Amazon rainforest flooded twice in the early and middle Miocene. The floods lasted for 200 and 400,000 years each. This assumption has been confirmed by unusual findings. For example, shark's teeth were found in Colombia. But when it comes to the mysteries hidden somewhere in the...
That's a sharkando. That's what it is. That's what it is. Don't tell anybody. Wow, so many news in this thing, actually. I didn't know there was like Submerged.
Jungle, it's impossible not to think of El Dorado. Yes, El Dorado, the mythical city, state, or possibly an entire empire. A place where there's so much gold and precious stones that everyone could become rich. The history of El Dorado is complicated. Perhaps the myth began with the custom of the Chibcha tribe. The chief was covered in clay and sprinkled with golden sand until he turned into El Dorado, the Golden Man. Gradually, one golden man gave rise to a legend of a whole golden city. European researchers were delighted. They searched for this place for 2 centuries, and some even claimed that they succeeded. There were mysterious maps, and legends constantly evolved with new details. In the end, El Dorado became a metaphor. It became the name of any place where a person could get rich, and the real Golden City was never found. But it could be. Maybe all of these researchers were just looking in the wrong place. I know what you're thinking. On the one hand, it all sounds unlikely. But on the other hand, there are still parts of the Amazon jungle that haven't yet been fully explored. Who knows what's hidden?
I mean, fully explored. Like, basically everything here is not explored. It's huge. Like, who knows how much of this territory is nobody has ever set foot there. Like, okay, you can fly over it, and also you can do a topographical, of course, there are pictures, satellite pictures and images and everything, but even with all this data has to be studied, observed, and if, I don't know, somebody's not doing it, it's going to be kind of difficult. Like, it's really fascinating also that sometimes just by accident, you know, like by somebody literally being on Google Map because of satellite imaging and newer satellite photos which they're taking of those areas, some nerd, some guy that, you know, girl that is spending time checking things out might come across something. So sometimes it's accidental. It's just by chance that somebody is putting their effort in such a thing and they find some indication of ancient civilizations or buildings or something. And personally, we are so busy with everything else that we also forget that this is important, you know, searching for the past, understanding from the past. I find it absolutely fascinating. And I find absolutely fascinating that there is still so much unexplored. I think truth could be said also for so many areas, probably in Greenland or in Russia. Like, so much stuff is under the snow, even Antarctica. I mean, go figure, Antarctica, if there are animals still frozen in the permafrost there for millions of years or something, you know? So I don't know exactly the weather, how it was like 13,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago in Antarctica, probably more or less the same or even colder. And going back to 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 million years, 60 million years. And if something, you know, after the impact that destroyed the dinosaurs, if there was something still around and got trapped in the permafrost. So it will be really interesting to know all of those things, you know?
Among the dense foliage. Perhaps in a couple of years, El Dorado will be found there. If you like this video,
I like this video and I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. And guys, you can watch the full video if you want on this channel. Super awesome. Hopefully we can manage to share it. And like I said, I found this thing absolutely fascinating. So I always hope that somebody by mistake or by accident finds something, you know, and it's a kind of ignites again human curiosity and perhaps pushes people, government or local government, whatever, you know, to maybe invest a little bit of money and resources in going exploring. Because of course, when it comes down to it, it's always about that. It's always about money. It's always about if a university or somebody working at the university, a professor, has discovered something based on some previous discoveries or speculation or myth or whatever that engages into a search, you know, and then if there are funds, if there are money that can be, you know, like used, and also at least some shred of evidence or shred of information that can justify the use of funds. Otherwise, yeah, those things are very much tied together, and I think it's also unfortunate because if you ask me, I think humanity should be busy with understanding our biology, understanding our past, and we should develop in that direction. You know, like that could be absolutely beneficial to the production of food, to the production of in general also of things that we need, technology that we need to then support the production of food and agriculture, and also taking care of ourselves, understanding our biology and diseases and viruses and so on and so forth. And instead we're focusing too much on just producing to consume, and there's not enough emphasis on those other aspects of humanity, which we probably in the end will learn are the most important, you know, in a sort of solar system scale, galaxy scale, and universal scale. Then you realize that production for the sake of capitalism or for the sake of billionaires, it's not exactly what life and humanity it's about. But yeah, we're still growing. Hopefully we get there sooner than later. Anyway, guys, Brazil, I'll see you later. Take care of yourself and take care of the rainforest.